Welcome to Coach's Corner with Jay, featuring the Noles head coach, Jay Sarcosta, and our host, Lance LaFollette.
For your convenience and peace of mind, AmeriDrive by Stark offers teen driver education in these locations: Woodsfield, St. Clairsville, Wintersville, Martins Ferry, New Philadelphia, Marietta, Harrison Central, and Buckeye Local. 3 weeks of classroom study is held on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings. State licensed and certified by the Ohio Department of Public Safety, AmeriDrive has been teaching teens and adults to drive for 20 years. 8 hours of one-on-one behind-the-wheel instruction is scheduled at convenient times. Call AmeriDrive by Stark at 1-800-YOU-DRIVE-2. No matter what the weather is, you can work out year-round at Transforming Physiques. For your convenience, new owner Kristen Rossiter has extended the hours. Students have the opportunity to work out before school, after school, or on Saturdays. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, come out at 6 a.m. and get your exercise in before going to work. Adult, student, and family memberships are available. They now have 2 tanning beds and stock the best of tanning supplies. Stop out to see a large variety of sports drinks, diet bars, supplements, vitamins, and sports attire. Now is the time to start transforming your physique.
Good evening and welcome to Coach's Corner. Well, Week 7's in the books. The Seminoles took one on the chin, 14-7. It's the first loss for the Seminoles, but the season's far from over. Lost a chance to gain some valuable points, but 3 big games left, and if the Seminoles expect to move on into the postseason, these are 3 very important games. So, Coach, the size, I think, probably started to take its toll there at the end of the game. We had some opportunities, but they moved the ball when they needed to.
Well, Lance, it's definitely a bitter pill to swallow, and the fact that our kids played their hearts out, and I thought overall they played pretty well. In fact, probably one of the better games that we played this year. You don't always play your best game when you win, and I think this was a case where we played pretty good. We did have 1 turnover that was costly, and we also had a couple of penalties, not so much maybe our young men's doing. The one was a no call, and one was a call that we'll talk about a little bit later that, in fact, we'll talk about both of those a little bit later, that really hurt us, and you'll see on the highlights what I'm talking about. I don't like to blame officials for losses, and I'm not blaming an official for a loss. We did put the ball on the ground once, and I told our young men early in the year that penalties and fumbles were going to end up catching up with us, and especially against a good football team, which Shenadoah is. But I really thought our kids played tough. I don't know that the really size advantage or disadvantage really hurt us that much. They were definitely bigger than us, and that's the case every week. We go up against teams each week that are bigger than us. I really thought our kids held their own. There were a couple times that I thought maybe they were wearing on us a little bit, but overall I thought we hung pretty tough. The only other thing I could really fault as far as our performance is concerned was the fact that we just didn't tackle real well, and that's not something that we are noted for, not to tackle well. We are usually noted for our aggressive, hard-nosed, tough defense. And when we take a look at the highlights, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. It was not so much that we weren't in position. In fact, I was a little disappointed in the night of the game. I kind of thought that, especially on their final touchdown, the one that won the game for them, that we were maybe not where we should have been. But we were there. We just didn't really wrap up, and we didn't make the tackle, and you'll see very clearly on the film that was the case, and you got to give them credit. They were down, 7-0, and they came back and got on the board. They were still down 7-6, and they came back and put another one on the board, and that's a sign of a good team. So I think it was a classic matchup of 2 teams in the PVC and the OVAC, and both teams in the hunt for playoff postseason play. An excellent football game, a tremendous crowd, one of the biggest crowds we've had here. I don't know that it was the biggest, but it was one of the biggest, and just a tremendous, great atmosphere for both schools and both teams to play under in preparation for hope for the playoffs. But very disappointing that we didn't get a win. I felt we played good enough that we could have won, but we didn't. So we've got to put that game behind us and go on and look forward to this week against Barnesville. And if you look back a couple weeks ago, we said the second half of our schedule was going to be the toughest road we had to hoe all the way through, and it's proven to be that so far. Magnolia was extremely tough, and we came out of there with a hard-earned 6-0 win, and then this past week we go down to our first defeat. But it doesn't get any easier. The next couple will be real tough, and then we finish up with our county rival in the 10th game. So there's nothing easy as far as looking ahead. The one thing that we have to remember is, and I told our young men this, that when you win, you can't spend too much time resting on your laurels and thinking about how good of a job you did. You got to put that aside and start preparing for the next opponent. Well, the same thing is true with the loss. You put it aside and you got to go on to the next opponent. So hopefully it'll be a learning situation for our young men, and they'll step it up a couple notches and be ready for this week.
Well, when you look at the indications from the region, I believe we only lost one spot, didn't we, in the standings?
Right. We were 5th last week, and as everybody knows, the top 8 teams make the playoffs. Top 4 teams will host and be at home in the first round of the playoffs. 1 playing 8, 2 playing 7, 3 playing 6, and 4 playing 5. We were in 5th place last week. We just dropped 1 place to 6th. We're still sitting in a position where we can kind of control our own destiny as far as getting into the playoffs and possibly even getting into the top 4 to host the first round playoff game. If we would win out and get help from our opponents, we could still end up in the top 4, but the main thing is especially to be in and get an opportunity to play in week 10 or week 11.
And hopefully, or possibly another shot at Shenadoah.
Well, you never know. That could happen too, Lance. It looks as though they're going to win out. Their last 3 opponents are not real strong. They play, at least haven't had good seasons thus far. They have Bellsville to play, who has not been having one of their typical seasons. They have Fort Fry to play, who we all know has not won a game yet. And then they end up with Caldwell, who is a very improved team, but I don't think the caliber team that Shenadoah is. So they should win out, be 10-0, and possibly wrap up that first spot. But you never know about some other teams underneath them, like Amanda Clear Creek. If they win out, they may challenge for that first spot. So it appears that they're going to be definitely in the top 4, maybe 1 or 2. It all depends on, number 1, we have to take care of business the next 3 weeks and get in, number 1. And then wherever we happen to be, even if it's not the first round, if we'd be fortunate to win, they're fortunate to win, it could end up that we could face each other again. And I think our young men feel good about that. In fact, that they know that this is an excellent Shenadoah football team, maybe the best they've had in the history of their school, but it's not a team that's unbeatable, and they know that we had them in a position where we could have very easily beaten them this past week. But we'll not worry about that. We'll just worry, number 1, about Barnesville, and then we'll take Frontier, and then Bellsville, and then if we get in, we'll play whoever we have to play, wherever we have to play them, and if Shenadoah comes along somewhere, then we'll line up and kick it off and play them again.
Sounds good. We're going to take a break. We have 3 linemen with us this evening as guests, so hang in there. We'll be right back.
New name, same great service. Ormet Credit Union is now Ohio Valley Community Credit Union. Visit us in our new facility in Hannibal, built with more convenient parking and easier drive-through. If you live, work, or attend school in Belmont or Monroe counties, you are eligible for membership in the Ohio Valley Community Credit Union. To serve you better, we also have locations in St. Clairsville and Clarington. Ohio Valley Community Credit Union. Community is our middle name. For over 100 years, Bauer Turner Furniture has been serving our community with quality furniture and bedding. After a big day, kick back and relax in a dual recliner sofa, or choose from living room suites featuring couches with comfy armchairs or matching recliners. Then pick the perfect coffee table and tables and lamp to suit your personality. Of course, they stock bedroom furniture to please the country, traditional, or contemporary decorator. Kitchen tables and chairs, hutches, entertainment centers, and more can be delivered to your home this week. So stop by Bauer Turner Furniture today.
We're back with number 79, Chad Burkhart, a junior for the Seminoles. Plays line both ways. Started out playing mostly offense for the Noles, and lately we've been seeing him a lot on the defensive side of the ball. Chad, coming in your sophomore last year, junior this year, you knew there were some spots open on the line. How did you feel about your chances of stepping up and getting to take one of those spots?
I knew that there was going to be some spots open, but I knew I was going to have to work really hard to improve myself from last year because we lost a lot of good starters last year, and we really needed some people to step up and take their place.
Well, Chad, you started out in 8th grade, first time St. Sylvester's ever had football. You were one of the guys, one of the leaders of the team actually, and a fellow by the name of Jack Kaler, Dave Shreve, Andy Shoemaker, and myself were your coaches. And I don't mean to put undue pressure on you, but those guys spend a lot of time watching you. They're all proud of how you've done. What made you decide to go out for football in the beginning?
Well, I started playing football my 8th grade year at St. Sylvester's, and I really enjoyed it. It was really fun because I wish I had started earlier in earlier grades because I really liked it, and I think I'm suffering because if I started earlier, I'd be better now. And I decided I'd like to continue my football experience at Monroe Central.
Lately, you've been getting a lot of defensive time in there. Do you have a preference as far as offensive side or defensive side?
Well, I like offense better because I'm more experienced at it and it's easier for me to do. But I like defense because you get to get in there and stick somebody.
Coach, we talked about having a lot of smart kids on the team, and Chad definitely fits that bill, doesn't he?
That's for sure. He's a very intelligent young man. He's always thinking. He's a good student in the classroom, and we find a direct correlation between good students in the classroom and getting things done properly on the football field. They usually pick up the offense or the defense pretty quickly, and they think well on their feet, and that's very important of an athlete and a football player. But Chad's one of those quiet guys. He doesn't say much, and as he mentioned, we felt the same way. We knew we had some positions with only one starter coming back offensively on the interior line and one starter coming back defensively on the interior line. We knew we were going to have some people step up that didn't have a lot of experience. And he's one of the guys that stepped up that has not had a lot of experience as a freshman or sophomore. And he's done a nice job for us. And as you mentioned, he's played more on the offensive side of the ball, but he's got some snaps on the defensive side of the ball. And, sometimes as a first-year starter, you only get to see maybe more snaps on one side or the other. And like I say, offense has been where he's been most of the time. But I think you'll see him on both sides of the ball, but I see him continue to improve. In fact, in watching the tape of last week's game, I see his blocking improving every week, and that's what he's got to continue to do. He kind of trimmed down a little bit. I thought he was going to be a little heavier than what he was, but he kind of trimmed down a little bit, which is fine. And we don't worry too much about size because we worry more about a young man being aggressive and being able to execute and do the job. And Chad's done that so far for us, and we're real happy because I think that's been part of our success. The guys that have not had a lot of experience like Chad have stepped up and they've done a nice job for us. We knew that some of the guys coming back that had experience, what they could do, but it was questionable as to what some of these other guys like Chad could do, and he's done a real nice job. And I think he'll just continue to improve, and he's going to see a lot of snaps, probably more on defense than he has at the beginning of the season.
Okay. Well, Chad, tough loss that last week, first one on the year, no time to cry about it. We're got to bounce back. How's things going so far for looking at Barnesville?
Oh, it looks pretty good. We're getting prepared. They're going to be up at Barnesville, and we have to be ready to take them on because it'll make their year if they can beat us, knock us off.
Keep up the good work and good luck this week.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break and come back with number 58, Eddie McConnell, right after this.
McDonald's of Woodsfield is not just great food and lots of fun, it's a vital part of our community. Perla and Dell strongly believe in supporting our kids, both in school and in extracurricular activities. That's why McDonald's is proud to be the exclusive halftime sponsor for the Monroe Central Seminoles. They're happy to support our players, our cheerleaders, and our band. After the game, celebrate at McDonald's of Woodsfield, where we love to make you smile.
Joining us now is number 58, Eddie McConnell, two-way lineman for the Seminoles. Eddie's a sophomore, stepped in there and took over that nose position right away. Eddie, as the season's been going, seems like I hear your name called more and more for tackles. What can you attribute that to?
Just great senior leadership, and they not so hard after you get going into the season, but beginning of season is kind of hard moving up from JV to high school to the varsity, and then once you get in varsity, after a while, you kind of just get used to it.
Now, you've played defense and played a lot of defense last year, JV as well, and did a nice job. This year, we've had an injury or two, and we're not real deep on that offensive line. You've got your number called now and actually playing a lot of offense. Is this a hard transition for you?
Everything's kind of hard moving into something new that you haven't really been in practice with, but I think I'm doing fairly good with it, and I just wish I'd practiced a little more in the off season about offense and be a little more interested in it.
Coach, big advantage with Eddie. He's got some size, and something's making that defense pretty strong over here, and Eddie's been a big part of it so far.
Yes, he has, Lance, and we're not, as we mentioned, overall big by any stretch of the imagination size. Eddie's one of our bigger offense and defensive linemen, and that gives him a little bit of advantage, and he can move pretty well for a big guy, and he's just a sophomore, so he's still young, he's still learning, and as he mentioned, he played JV ball last year and got some good experience and did some good things, and so we felt that he could step in and play actually on both sides of the ball. As you mentioned, most of his time has been on the defensive side of middle guard, and when Eddie wants to play, I guess that's probably the best way to put it, when he wants to play, he's pretty hard to stop. And there's times where he might not do exactly what he might, need to do or supposed to do, such as maybe take a gap when he's not supposed to, when he's supposed to play it head up and destroy the center. But when he wants to, go and hit, he's got a lot of potential. And I think he'll just keep getting better and better and better. What he's doing now is he's gaining the valuable experience that young players need to gain, and there is a difference between JV ball and varsity ball, and so that step up, he's had to adjust to that change, but he does have a lot of potential, and there at the beginning of the year, we were seeing him on basically defensive side of the ball, and that was it. And I kept telling him, Eddie, you got to be in shape because you're going to have to maybe go both ways, and now he's going to be called upon to go a good bit both ways because we did have a key injury to one of our offensive linemen, Robbie Dimmerling, and the fact that this time his status is unknown for sure whether he's going to be able to come back or not. So that means Robbie's going to have to step up, Eddie's going to have to step up for Robbie and get the job done for us on offense as well. And he can do the same things, same types of things on offense that he does on defense when he puts his mind to it. So his potential is unlimited. It's just a matter of maturing, gaining that valuable experience, and pushing himself to do it on every play. Last week, you'll see on the highlights, last week's game, he busted through and made a what we call CBL, caught behind the line tackle. He can do that kind of thing, and he can create a lot of havoc inside between the guards at that middle guard position, and that's what we hope he continues to do. But he's a big, strong young man, and like I say, he's just going to be as good as he wants to be.
Okay. Well, Eddie, keep up the good work. 6-1, we're off to a great start, so keep going for us.
All right.
We're going to take a quick break and come back with number 63, Tony Dixon, right after this.
F.W. Shoemaker Insurance Agency celebrated 100 years of service to our community. F.W. Shoemaker is an independent agency representing many reputable companies for all of your insurance needs. Only the most professional agencies represent Westfield Insurance. The best of the best are recognized as Westfield Platinum agencies, and F.W. Shoemaker is proud to be a Platinum agency. F.W. Shoemaker Insurance and the Monroe Central Seminoles, two winning traditions.
Joined now by number 63, Tony Dixon, a guard on offense and a linebacker on defense. Tony, you don't get a whole lot of playing time in there, but when you look down and I see you always seem to be fired up and ready to go. What can you say?
Well, yeah, I mean, you always have to be fired up if you're a senior. I mean, it's more or less like a must-have-to-do thing. Always trying to get everybody up on the sidelines and in the crowds just to get that extra oomph so that our offense and defense thinks that the crowd's behind them, or actually knows that the crowd's behind them 100%, and they go 110% harder.
Well, we've had an injury Coach mentioned about there when we were talking to Eddie, and this is a game where it is a rough game. You never know, when you may be in there the next play, and you need to be ready like that.
Yeah, I'm always, if you look down whenever nothing real exciting is happening, I'm always behind the coaches, ready to go in, but it's like something like a touchdown or something, I'm always running up and down the field. So,
one of your big contributions has to be your performance as far as scout team. I know, week in and week out, the scout team's called on to give a good look to the offense, and I know in past years, when you have 23, 24 guys, it's hard to put some competition over there, but you do a pretty good job of giving them a good look.
Yeah, there's several of us on the scout teams that give everybody everybody good luck. We all try to do our hardest just to make the guys better. Most of the guys tend to go a lot harder so that they can try and get a position if somebody's hurt. Like with Robbie hurt, I mean, everybody else has been going 110% harder just to try and get a position in there.
We talked off camera there in scout team. Yeah, it can be a lot of fun. It's going to be about as much fun as you make it be.
Yeah.
Anything you want to send out to Coach Shoemaker? I'm sure he watches this.
Yeah, if he'd ever get a chance to think about it, I'd like to maybe run the ball once or twice just to do something a little different, act like a harder back or something when next time we come up to it.
Well, get some practice ahead of time for that senior play.
Yeah, I like to do that.
Coach, another one of those guys that just good-hearted as can be and a good guy to have around, just like we said, for that work ethic.
Well, Tony's been in our program for 4 years now, and he's never caused us a bit of problems. He's been one of those guys that, like we've talked about several other guys, that hasn't gotten a lot of playing time, as a senior or as a starter offensively or defensively, but he has contributed. And a lot of people might just maybe base their worth as a player, or someone else base that player's worth to the team as far as being a starter offensively, defensively, and that's not the case. And he's one of those guys that I know that he has gotten some things out of the program, even though he hasn't been a starter, that he will be able to put to use in life no matter where it is down the road somewhere. And like I say, he hasn't caused us a bit of problems. He has worked and contributed to the success of the team each year as a result of doing, like you mentioned, about the scout teams, and he's been on some special teams, and he's just one of those guys that you like to have involved in your program. Like I say, if you have one of those guys that's not playing, a lot of times they can be a problem, but Tony's never been a problem, and he's been a nice young man to have around, so we appreciate him being a part of the program. And as he mentioned, he's always, trying to fire the rest of the team up, and he is a senior, one of the senior members, and we like to have the seniors kind of go out on a very positive note. He's had a good 4 years here as a part of this team, and we'd like for him and the rest of the seniors to be able to go out on a real positive note and finish this thing out with 3 wins and get into postseason play.
Well, there you go. Tony works far from over. 3 big wins, any chance to move on. So keep up the good work and get us ready to play.
All right.
We're going to take a quick break and come back and look at some highlights right after this.
Since 1887, folks have trusted Woodsfield Savings Bank with their financial needs. So when you need someone to lead you with your financial decisions, come to the friendly folks at Woodsfield Savings Bank, where customers count. Because of your busy schedule, we offer a drive-through and night deposit box, as well as convenient parking, direct deposit, and automatic payments. The folks at Woodsfield Savings Bank truly believe that making an investment in our kids brings the biggest return to our community.
Go Noles!
Start the highlights off with Josh Ishii throwing the ball, this time to Gabe Gordon for a first down.
Well, here we got trips to the right, and we'll slide Gabe out of the backfield. Josh has got plenty of time, drills the ball in there, and Gabe makes a fine catch. Picks up some nice yardage and a big first down.
Here you'll see the Seminole defense at work. Eddie McConnell and company, no gain.
They like to have a lot of people defensively around the ball. We're in a double eagle right here, but we do a good job pursuing the ball. Eddie does an excellent job destroying their center, and he gets a lot of help in there from Dan, also from Sam, and also from Gabe Gordon.
Aaron Brown picks up some yardage on around left tackle.
And just a straight dive play here. Watch the left guard, Chad Burkhardt, who was on our show tonight, do a nice job, along with our other offensive linemen, and we get some nice yards. Not a big game, but a nice game.
David Spielman has another good punt, and the special teams did another good job the other evening.
Well, we were concerned about this because Zirkle had done some damage to different teams returning punts for touchdowns. Here he catches the ball. We worked all week trying to punt the ball away from him. The first one David punted was a little short. That was a lot better punt as far as distance is concerned, and we had good coverage there. And then later David will punt the ball completely away from him, so we didn't get ourselves hurt any as far as the kicking game is concerned.
Curtis Merrick and Gabe Gordon team up to bring Barnett down on short loss.
We're concerned about Barnett, running off tackle, and here he tries to bounce it outside, and we've got both Curtis Merrick and Gabe Gordon doing an excellent job there keeping him from bouncing outside.
This time Gabe Gordon does it himself on the defensive side.
Yeah, Gabe actually plays off a block here and then makes the tackle, so excellent defensive play by linebacker Gabe Gordon. Right here they pull and he fights off the guard and makes the tackle on Barnett. Excellent play.
Ishii completes the pass to Gabe Gordon here.
Here we're running out of the slot to the left, and we'll fake, and Gabe will slide out to the backfield, and Josh will roll to his right, and does a nice job of keeping patient here until Gabe comes open. He throws the ball. Gabe makes a tremendous catch by leaping up in the air. Outstanding play.
Number 58, Eddie McConnell, again on defense. Nice stop in the backfield.
I told you that Eddie had good quickness for a big guy, and here you'll see number 58 on the left side. He'll knife through there, does a nice swim technique, and made a nice tackle in the backfield for CBL.
Number 55, Curtis Merrick, puts the big hit on the quarterback.
Big hit by Curtis Merrick here, a lot of pressure on the quarterback. He tries to roll a little bit to his right, and Curtis is right there in his face, and gets a big hit. The ball hit the ground, of course, dead ball.
David Spielman gets another good punt off for the Noles.
Well, we mentioned earlier we're trying to keep the ball away from Zirkle. It was a dangerous return guy on punts, and here David will kick the ball over to the left and away from that dangerous return. He gets a nice hang time. The ball rolls back, and they get no return. Excellent punt job by David Spielman.
Shenadoah punting now back to the Seminoles, and Aaron Brown does a nice job on the return.
Yeah, probably a man or two from breaking this one all the way. Punt the ball, and Aaron Brown fields it over on the left side of the field, comes back this way toward our bench, does a nice job picking up a couple blocks, and then he'll shed a tackler here and does a nice job getting the ball off the field. Like I say, one or two more blocks, and that close to going all the way.
After Shenadoah took the ball over on an interception, Monroe Central takes it right back.
Yeah, they intercept, and we had a penalty. It puts them in good field position across the 50, and then they go deep down the field, and Kenny Robinson jumps up and makes a nice interception there to get us the football back.
Good team defense here by the Noles against the ball carrier from Shenadoah.
Well, they line up in a power line. They got Barnett at tailback, and they ISO him off the left side, and we got a lot of black jerseys around the football, and that's what you like to see, a lot of gang tackling. Excellent defensive team effort.
Here Sean 80 causes a fumble, and Gabe Gordon covers it.
Yeah, Sean from the right side of our defensive line moves down parallel line of scrimmage, does a nice job of stripping the ball right there. The ball's loose, and Gabe Gordon gets on it. We got a lot of black jerseys around it, and it's our ball.
Seminoles get on the board first. Aaron Brown hooks up with Sam Miller.
Well, after the turnover, we're in a wing left here, and we run the reverse pass, pitch the ball to Ryan Ferguson. He'll hand it back to Aaron Brown. He throws a beautiful pass down to a wide open Sam Miller, and he sheds the last would-be tackler and takes it into the end zone for a touchdown.
Curtis Merrick doing a nice job kicking again. Here the point after goes through with room to spare.
All-important extra point, especially at this point in time. You don't know what's going to happen, and here Curtis will line up and drill it through, and we take a 7-0 lead.
At this point in the game, the momentum is on the Seminoles side, and Curtis Merrick keeps it there with a good kickoff.
Well, after getting on the board in a 7-0 lead, you like to start the offense of the opponent at the 20-yard line. That's exactly what happens. Curtis booms the ball in the end zone, and we make them start for the 20.
We mentioned earlier in the show, Coach, about no calls. This is possibly one of them.
Well, you'll see a player coming on late right here on the field for Shenadoah. And the problem is, and you can't see it down this corner, number 6 Zirkle was not set. He ends up being the one that catches the ball. That should have been a penalty. Now watch when he comes back. Watch number 61 in your screen over here. He goes beyond the line of scrimmage, which is lineman downfield, and there's also number 73, another lineman downfield. So there should have been a flag for movement. There's motion. There should have been a flag for lineman downfield. It was a 3rd and long situation, and they end up getting a key first down, which led to their first touchdown. We'll show you that in slow motion so you can try to pick up on those guys that are downfield. Looking at this play again, one thing you want to note, the line of scrimmage is a 33-yard line. The quarterback cannot go past that, nor can the lineman go downfield. As he rolls to the right, you'll see number 61 come out here. Also 73 on the backside ends up going downfield. Watch these two players. Right here, 61 will go beyond the 33-yard line. 73 will come into your picture right here at the 40-yard line, and they count this as a completion. And again, they had motion to start that play, which should have been a flag right from the very beginning. And you'll see that I'll come into the picture down here, not very happy with this call, and telling the official that he definitely missed that particular call.
Shenadoah trying to tie the score after their first touchdown. Sam Miller comes through to block the point after.
Well, at this time, this is a very key play here, up 7-6. They're going for the tying point, and Sam Miller, number 88, comes off the end on our left side, their right side, and does an excellent job here, diving across the ball and blocking that kick.
Josh Ishii hooks up with Dan Miller for a Seminole first down.
Nice pass and nice catch here by Dan Miller. Josh sticks the ball right in. Dan lines up the tight end on this side, and he'll delay, and Josh sticks it right in there to him, and then he turns the ball upfield for a nice little gain.
This play, Josh Ishii hooks up with Kenny Robinson for another first down.
Well, we get the ball back and get it in good field position. We got trips this side, split to the right side. Josh does a nice job sticking the ball in to Kenny Robinson. He makes a nice catch and takes the ball down inside the 30-yard line, and we got a drive going.
This is the play that beat us, Coach, and we had several shots at him.
Well, we show this play for exactly that reason. You'll see that he anticipates getting hit. He'll start to his left. He'll roll back to the right. We got him turned inside. We probably had, as you count the black jerseys, 6 or 7 guys that had a shot at him, and we just overran or missed tackles, and he takes it all the way in the end zone, which proved to be the winning score.
Here, Gabe Gordon picks up nice yardage around the right side.
And we line up in a wing right here, and we'll run the power off the right side, and Gabe does a nice job bouncing it outside. Then he breaks a couple tackles right there. He breaks one, he breaks another one, and picks up a real nice gain.
Here we have Aaron Brown picking up big yardage on a sweep.
Excellent run by Aaron Brown from the tailback spot. We got a slot to the left side, and he'll take the pitch. And we got a couple nice blocks up in front there, and he does a nice job getting away from the would-be tackler. Cuts right in past the grain and picks up nice yardage down to the 22-yard line.
This time it's Brownie around the right end for nice yardage.
Another fine play, offensive running play by Aaron Brown. Josh will reverse out, pitch the ball back to Aaron. He'll take it off the right side, steps inside right there, gets away from a couple tackles, and takes it down for another first down.
It's time now for my Citizens National Bank Play of the Week.
So Monroe Central, after burning the timeout, comes out wing left. Actually a pretty wide wing as they lined up. Yeah! 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 Nice play! Beautiful! We look at that wing. He's a little bit far off the ball for the wing.
The Citizens National Bank of Woodsfield, home-owned and independently operated since 1933. Your community bank. Our officers, directors, and staff are dedicated to customer and community service. We reinvest your deposit dollars locally. So remember, banking with us is not only good for you, but it's good for your community. Citizens National Bank of Woodsfield. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We'll be right back to take a look at this week's opponent, the Barnesville Shamrocks.
Hi, I'm Bill Respect. You heard me talk many times about how we offer you the best variety at the best possible price every day. And we do it with no cards, no gimmicks, no hassle. Just like you, we're working to get the most we can for the money we spend. So if these things are important to you, come home to Respects. We'll even add customer service as we continue what Grandma started over 70 years ago.
This week's opponent, the Barnesville Shamrocks, 4-3. At the beginning of the season, when you wanted to take a look at that schedule and see what the Seminoles had lined up, you knew Shenadoah was going to be tough. This had to be one of the other ones, going to Barnesville. So, Coach, I'm 4-3. I hope there's no one out there that's thinking this is going to be an easy one, because at Barnesville is going to be tough regardless.
It definitely will not be an easy one, Lance. Anyone that's been around and knows the caliber of Barnesville's football program, number one, knowing how tough it is to go to Barnesville and play, number two, because it's kind of a hostile environment. Their fans get super psyched, as do their players. And don't let that record be misleading, 4-3, because I saw them play in person against Magnolia, a game they should have won. We'll look at the schedule here in a minute. I also saw them on tape several times, and basically, other than maybe 2 games, and maybe even one of those, they could have won maybe the rest of the game. So they're a football team that's very explosive. They've kind of gone to a little different look offensively here last week against Harrison Central, and they're going to throw the football. They've got an experienced quarterback. They've got some outstanding receivers that can catch the ball. I don't know that their skilled people were as talented as they were the last couple years, and I don't know that their offensive line is maybe as good as it was the last couple years, but they're a good football team, and they can do a lot of things, and it's very difficult to defend a team like this, because you will not see everything the same as what you've seen in the previous 7 weeks. They're going to throw a lot of new wrinkles at us, and we're going to have to be prepared, and we're going to have to play an outstanding game defensively, and we're going to have to put some points on the board. We haven't done that the last 2 weeks. 6 against Magnolia, a very good defensive team, and 7 last week, so we're going to have to get some points on the board to get it done.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the schedule you mentioned. There's 3 teams on there that they've lost to. We know what Magnolia had. Shadyside's 6-1 at this point, and John Glenn, their other loss, they're right in the playoff hunt.
Exactly. They've played some very good football teams. As we mentioned, they're 4-3. They opened up against John Glenn and lost that opener 21-13. As you mentioned, John Glenn is in the playoff hunt. I think either 6-1 or 7-0. They always have an outstanding program. In week 2, they defeated Meadowbrook, who is not having a good year at all this year. No wins to this point, 34-7. Week 3, they defeated Caldwell 22-7. That score is a little bit misleading. Caldwell was ahead at halftime, and I think until late in the 3rd quarter, it was like 7-6 or something of that nature. They ended up winning 22-7. Then they came back the next week and defeated Buckeye Trail 8-6 at their place at home. And then I saw the Magnolia game personally. That was one of the nights we went to Saturday, the week of the Fort Fry game. And they lost to Magnolia 25-15, but believe me, they should have won that football game. They had the ball on the 15-yard line going in to score. They fumbled. They had the ball on the 2-yard line ahead in that game, 15-12, and going in for a touchdown and fumble on Magnolia's 2-yard line. They end up getting beat 25-15. They lost to an outstandingly good Shadyside team, 34-12. They scored first in that game, took the ball, went right down, got on the board, and then Shadyside kind of dominated from there. And then last week, they really opened their offense up. They defeated Harrison Central, who we know is much improved, was 3-3 going into that game, 51-24. They really, I say, changed their offense and opened things up in the fact that they're really throwing the football. Not that they didn't throw before. Their quarterback, threw a good bit, but they really opened things up formation-wise. To this point, they're scoring 22 points a game, and they're giving up 17 points, almost 18 points a game. So, last week they put up some big numbers. They put up some big numbers before. Their defense have given up some points the last 3 weeks, but the 3 pretty good football teams, Magnolia, Shadyside, and a very improved Harrison Central team.
You talk about quarterback and throwing the ball. Brock Huntsman's one of the better quarterbacks in the Valley, spearheading that attack. What can you tell us about that offense?
Well, he is an experienced quarterback. He's a veteran. He's played. He played from his sophomore year on. He shared some time his sophomore year, and then he threw for well over 1,000 yards last year, and he's back again throwing this year. But before we get to the backs and their quarterback, up front, their offensive line, Barry Clough, who is a junior, 5'10", 200, number 74 is their center. David Doty, who played last year, senior, 5'10", 229, number 61. Tony Arnell, a junior, 6 foot, 210, number 73 at the other guard. At the tackles, Matt Minich, 6'2", 188, number 51, a senior. And Brad Hannes, who played at fullback last year, and they converted him into an offensive and defensive lineman this year. A big young man, senior, number 55, 5'9", 230. In the backfield, they have, as we mentioned, Brock Huntsman, their quarterback. He's a senior, number 12, 5'10", 175. His main forte is to throw the football, but he can also run it. In fact, he's rushed for 33 carries, 113 yards. Passing is the thing he likes to do, and he likes to throw the crossing routes, the short routes, the hitch routes, the swing routes, and he's very accurate in doing that. 81 of 161 for 1,138 yards and 7 touchdowns. He does have 7 interceptions on the year, but throwing the ball 161 times, that's not unusual. He's got guys that can catch the ball. His 2 favorite receivers are number 5, Matt Anderson, will line up at tight end. He'll line up at a wide out. He's number 5, 6'1", 155 senior, and you'll see him catch a lot of balls over the middle. And I was impressed when I saw him against Magnolia in the fact that he caught a lot of balls in traffic, and that's with a lot of people around him right in the middle, and they'll do that. He'll run also the crossing route. Their other leading receiver is Bryce Allen, number 3, 5'9", 160, a gutty player and a good, excellent receiver. He's a senior. Those 2 guys are the guys they like to go to. Allen is their leading receiver with 27 catches, 455 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Anderson has 18 catches, 242 yards. So both those guys have more catches than anybody that we have. Also, they have Brandon Butler, who's a flanker. He's a senior, number 80, 5'10", 145. And they also have thrown the ball to one of their backs, their tailback, Eric Householder, number 33. He has 6 catches for just around 100 yards. And then the other guy in the backfield, Dan Spazinski, he's a 3-year Letterman starter, number 35, 5'10", 220 pounds. He really gave us fits as a sophomore, both on offense and defense, and he's got a lot of experience. And they'll also bring another young man in the backfield to kind of relieve Spazinski a little bit, and they got some output out of him too. But like I say, they're a team that's probably playing their best football right now, and I'm sure they're pointing to one team on their schedule, and that's us, because it's developed into a tremendous rivalry.
Okay. You can expect that they're going to be extra aggressive on defense as well. They like to send people and get some pass rush going. So what can you tell us about that defense?
Well, their base defense, Lance, is a 5-3 defense, but I'm sure if they're in that 5-3, they're going to cheat those backers up. And so basically we're looking at the same thing we looked at a lot of other weeks previous, and that is a lot of guys in the box, 8 guys in the box. They will run it out of a 6-2 look, and they'll bring those linebackers up. In a passing situation, they'll jump into a 40 look if you spread them out a little bit. So those are the 3 basic looks that you're going to see. A lot of the guys that line up, like us and a lot of other teams, guys that play on offense or playing on defense, they have, allowed some points, like say the last 3 games. They went 3 games in a row where they only gave up a touchdown against Meadowbrook, Caldwell, and Buckeye Trail. So, they can be very stingy defensively, and I'm sure they'll play their best game defensively. They'll play their best game offensively. They'll play their best game of the year against us, even though they thought last week was their best game to date against Harrison Central.
Okay. And that's one of the things that the kids have to understand. You can guarantee they're going to be fired up. How much work is it to get our kids fired up?
Well, that's a big question. And, up until last year, it just seemed like their kids got more into this rivalry, their fans got more into this rivalry since it was renewed than what we did. And I think last year there was a switch. Our kids kind of set a goal that they were going to beat Barnesville, and they kind of pointed to that game all year long, and we did beat Barnesville, and our kids played exceptionally well that game. They were ready. I hope they're ready this year, because I know Barnesville will be ready for us, because when you have a 4-3 season, number one, they know if they win out their last 3 games against us, Union Local, and St. Clairsville, that they can end up 7-3, which would be a great year because of the way they started out. The other thing is a win over us when it would maybe definitely damage our chances of getting in the playoffs and kind of ruin the type of season we want to have, would be something they'd like to do. So I guarantee you they'll be fired up. Their fans will be fired up. As I mentioned, it's kind of a hostile environment over there. You know, the one end zone over there, it's usually packed full of fans, and there's a lot of yelling and things going on down there. So, you know, we're going to have to do the job to kind of take them out of it and also take their fans out of it.
Okay. With the 7:30 kickoff, we're going to take a quick break and come back and let you know some other things right after this.
I'm not buying till I check on Ford.
When it comes to the regular maintenance of your Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury, come to the service department at Doane Ford. From oil changes and brake work to alignments and major repairs, the service department at Doane's has state-of-the-art equipment and factory-trained technicians to keep you on the road. And for all types of body work, remember, Doane Ford's Collision Center is a direct repair shop for all major insurance companies.
I'm not buying till I check on Ford.
From a deck to a complete house, Woodsfield True Value has the lumber and building materials for contractors or do-it-yourselfers. Before you go out of town, bring your plans into Troy and Mike for a free estimate. We think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Delivery is available for your project materials, too. From lumber and siding to shingles, windows, insulation, and cabinets, Woodsfield True Value is your source for building materials and building packages. So give Troy or Mike a call today at Woodsfield True Value.
We're back to wrap things up. 7:30 kickoff at Barnesville. Their stadium is to the left as you go through town, almost out the other side. You'll see the sign say Shamrock Stadium. Not a lot of good parking there, so you might want to get over there early. You may have to park along the street somewhere. Last week's winners, 50-50 was $1,084. And just to show that we do things fair, it was a fellow from Caldwell that won that. $1,084, Joey Richards from Caldwell in to watch the ball game. The game ball also went to a Shenadoah fan, and the way I looked at that, Coach, is I wouldn't have wanted it anyway. The winners on the board. Darren Demmerling won the first quarter. He won halftime. Dave Reiser won the third quarter. And the final score, $50, went to me. That reminds me that $50 is going to be reinvested in the 200 Club. We're up over 80 right now, and shooting for that goal of 200 it would be terrific if we could fill that up by the early bird and have everybody eligible for the TV drawing. That happens about the second week in November, I believe.
It's be the third Thursday, the early bird drawing in November.
Okay. Coach, you mentioned that Mr. Winland had contacted you regarding pre-sale tickets. Those will be available till tomorrow?
If you haven't purchased your tickets yet, you can save yourself $1 by buying it at the gate. If you want to buy them ahead of time, tickets for the game will be on sale. They started Wednesday at Hoff's Marathon in Woodsfield. They will also be sold at Monroe Central High School on Thursday and Friday during school hours. All tickets are $3. Actually, you save $2 because at the gate, all tickets are $5. So you can save yourself a couple bucks. Tickets will be picked up at those places by 2 p.m. on Friday, so don't wait till the last minute. If you're going to the game, you might as well save yourself a couple bucks and pick up your pre-sale tickets.
Okay. Well, hopefully everything will bounce back this week, Coach. I want to wish you luck.
Well, it's not many times, Lance, that we have to come in here on a losing note, and we're glad of that. But you know, there's just sometimes that you know, you either get beat by a team that's better than you, or sometimes things just don't bounce your way, and you may not get a break here or there. Like I mentioned earlier, I felt our kids played hard enough and good enough to win. It was just one of those things that evidently wasn't meant to be. So right now, that's history. That's behind us, and hopefully our kids can understand that and step it up a notch or two against Barnesville tomorrow night, because we're going to need to do that against a good football team.
Well, that's what it basically boils down to, is that if you ever want a chance to make up for that loss, you got to start right now.
That's true.
Okay, folks, as I said, 7:30 tomorrow evening, so get over there and get behind the Knolls. Good night, everyone.